against giving us the authority. A couple of years ago, there was the bill that basically was an enabling. If the city requested it, the county can give us this certain, and it's minimal authority in the area of review for like variances and other things. A little more than what we have already.
I hate to put you on the spot.
But real quickly, we put it in, and the county in 3 years, the county council has yet to act on a request.
Precisely so, and I hate to put you on the spot, and I know you can be very diplomatic in replying.
Okay.
But I sense, and have sensed over the last few years, several years, a very heavily anti-Bowie bias in Upper Marlboro, especially on the county council, in the county executive office. What can we do about that?
The old adage about you catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
Well, how do you do that?
Well, that's what leading into. You have to be not necessarily just cooperative, but understanding when you do get into a contentious issue. And what I remind my colleagues at time that one time we had most of the senior department officials at the county level lived in the city.
Yeah, that's true.
Betty Hewlett in charge of park and planning.
Yeah.
So when council would meet and you'd just pound and pound and pound, if it, not just developers but county and how they do that, and all, that resonates up in Upper Marlboro, down in Upper Marlboro, I guess.
Yeah.
But and those are the kind of things because they listen, they hear. I had Betty tell me one time that the commission heard what we said, and they knew who said what. Saying, and that was a contentious issue about 6 years ago. It still is, but you have to work. You have to lobby. You have to get others to support. One thing I'm hopeful in the next time frame that you're talking about, the next 10 to 20 years, to have the different municipalities come together.
Yes.
And understand that we're all alike.
Yeah.
We all
Except
have the
we're the
same
largest
problems.
municipality.
That is true, but probably.
There's commonality, you think, would be some.
I'm sorry, what?
Getting them all together, you think now is the answer in the future?
Well, in the past, they'd use the inner beltway versus the outer beltway.
Yeah, yeah.
The bigger versus the smaller.
You still hear that.
You still hear that. I think we need to get away from that.
I do
and
too.
how you get away from that is if the municipalities come together and have an understanding and work together cooperatively, because that only works when you have park and planning, the county or the state or anyone higher up divide and conquer. This is what they do at times. And if we can get away from that, if we don't divide, if we stay united, stay as one, then I think we can work through some of those issues that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But right now, as long as they feel they can win in these debates and arguments by dividing, they do that.
Well, it would help too if we have a county executive who was, in tune with this, like we had in the past, Paris Glendenning and Winnie Kelly, even Larry Hogan.
Right.
Lately,
Well, it'll be interesting. I mean, Prince George's is known to be a majority-minority county.
Right.
And it's probably, I understand, the most affluent, predominantly African-American community in the country.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And I think when the next set of census comes out, I think they'll see that Bowie is going to be in a similar fashion.
Yeah.
Bowie in the 90 census was predominantly, overwhelmingly white. The last census, I believe all municipalities, all minorities in Bowie were in the range of 36 to 40%. And I fully expect that we will find that the city of Bowie is predominantly a minority community after the first.
Do you think diversity is working in Bowie, or do you think we still have a ways to go to encompass everybody in our community into a sense of community?
I personally think we are in a good position.
Okay.
You do have some issues. They rear their heads up, and I think society in general has them. But I think we come together more frequently than we stand across the aisle and cast aspersions or throw things at each other.
Yeah.
When there are issues, the young man that tragically died and the protest, the obscene protest at the high school.
Well, those crackpots now are the subject of the Supreme Court decision.
Yes.
They're idiots.
Well, and I hope the Supreme Court
slaps them down.
I'm a strong and firm believer of free speech.
No, you and I both. Even Bert.
Of course, in your past life.
In my past life. In my present life.
Right. This thing here, right. But I think free speech does have some rational limits.
Yeah, like the old yell fire in a crowded auditorium.
Exactly. Yeah. And injecting a political debate in a very solemn ceremony, I think is a very
totally agree with you. I think it's obscene.
So, but we come together in those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And rather than allow ourselves to be torn apart. So I think we're in a pretty good position. Are we kind of a utopian society?
No.
No. Community in that regard is absolutely not. We still have work to do.
Yeah, we do.
And fortunately, we do have the committee, the diversity committee, that does do educational outreach. They developed a very good guidance for staff to use after we did get kind of raked over the coals on our response to a KKK painting. House was vandalized, and you know, we're very sympathetically understanding of the situation, but it was outside the city, and outside the city city has zero authority. We can't do anything.
That's right.
So, but now we've taken that, and basically now is if we do realize staff has a protocol they follow to put them in touch with the right people. What I think precipitated the kind of anger against the city was the fact that we came across as dismissive, and I think the effort of the diversity committee in coming up with a hate crimes policy and everything is addressing that. We can't be everything to everyone, and when it happens outside the city, we shouldn't just say, hey, you know, it's not our responsibility, but rather empathize with them and get them in touch with the right people, because we can still do that. I mean,
the city gets hits, and I think they're unfair hits. And it's primarily from one crackpot that gets on the internet and writes loony letters, that there's no diversity in City Hall. Well, people stay in their jobs for a long time.
Right. I think the city does an excellent job when they have opportunities for either promotions in-house.
Oh, sure. Well, we have a new African-American personnel director, yeah.
And the problem, and I had this, I won't say who, but I had a very a bit of an intense debate prior to, I think, the 2002 election about this very issue, because it got tied up in the redistricting and everything.
Yeah.
And they were pointing to the fact that, you know, the senior administration is all white.
Yeah.
And you can't argue that. And my question to this person was, okay, in order to achieve the diversity you want, who do I fire?
Exactly. Because most of that hierarchy's been here forever.
I don't want to fire anyone. Okay, then what you're really talking about is let's make sure we have the processes, the procedures, and the wherewithal to pursue diversity as we fill the spaces, and we're seeing that.
Oh yes, we are seeing it. Yeah.
Almost everyone I've been on the council next month will be 16 years, and almost everybody in the senior management here at Bowie, with a few recent exceptions, were in place when I got here 16 years ago. And
some of them were in place when I got here 40 years ago.
And remember what I said, in 1990, the city was majority white.
Yeah.
You know, like 96% white. So we are heading in the right direction. We just have to, you know, keep an eye on the prize, if you will.
Yeah.
And ensure that we give everyone an equal opportunity.
Well, Bert, what do you think?
Sounds good. 40 years. I didn't know that Mitch had been around that long. But he started as a teenager here. You're right, Dennis, I believe. And of course, the one thing, and it's just very simple, is people are hired and treated right, they stay. And we benefit from that as citizens. People move in and may have some complaint about certain things. Yeah. They benefited from that experience as well.
Right.
And certainly things change. They always do. And I'm wondering, though, and I'd like to know a little more about how an engineer puts up with all this politics thing. And before we move out, how do you do it? How do you
be an engineer or put up with politics?
Engineering to me is a science.
Do you have an algorithm for politics?
Politics is, how do you regard that?
No, I thought politics was alchemy, not an algorithm.
That's his word.
I think the way I tell you're absolutely right. Engineering and science tends to be more exacting, and when you look at an equation, there's usually only one answer. But when you look at politics, you have to weigh the benefits, the pros and cons, and what have you. So, but I think a lot of my tolerance and actually a lot of my desire is how I was brought up.